A great warrior. When he was but a recruit, I watched him kill 10 men in the arena with his bare hands. He doesn't feel pain, and he never ever shows mercy. If all legionaries were like him, the Legion would be invincible. Go.
You must enter Caesar's tent alone. Anyone else must remain outside.
Our way.
So I finally get to meet the courier who's accomplished so much in so little time. That's why I summoned you here, right? I mean, a man nearly kills you, and your response is to track him across the breadth of the Mojave? You assassinate the head of the chairman in his own casino and get away with it? When you set your mind to something, you get results. I like that. The question is, are you ready to get started? The time is fast approaching when my Legion will assault the Great Dam and invade the West. Before that happens, I want Mr. House knocked out of the game. A quick 1-2 punch, with you doing the punching. I have eyes and ears everywhere. It behooves me not to invade the West blind and deaf. It hasn't been hard to track your progress. It's not as though you've been keeping a low profile. Down the hill, at the west edge of camp, is an old building. It was here when the fort was taken in 2277. Inside the building is a hatch. And inside that hatch are 2 steel doors that bear the sigil of the Lucky 38 casino. Now that same sigil is on the platinum chip you were carrying. Isn't that interesting? Even more interesting, there's a slot about the same size as the chip on the console that opens the hatch. So you know what I think? I think the platinum chip opens those doors. Doors that can't be pried open, or drilled open, or blasted open. Because all that, I tried. I want you to destroy whatever you find in there. And then I want you to come back here and tell me about it. So go to the building and take this fucking platinum chip with you. My legionaries will meet you there, with your weapons and equipment. Goodbye.
Our way, true to Kaiser.
None may enter without Caesar's permission.
Caesar has permitted your weapons to be returned to you while you serve him. Caesar has put a lot of trust in you. Be worth it.
Our way, true to Kaiser.
I do wish you'd come and met with me at the Lucky 38 when you first arrived on the Strip. Or after you killed Benny, even. Quite an honor you spurned, my invite. You would be the first person to set foot inside the Lucky 38 in over 200 years. But you still wound up here, right where I wanted you. I knew I could rely on Caesar to return the platinum chip to you. That you were searched very thoroughly when you arrived at the fort is a certainty. And as the chip is a little too large to be secreted away, I also regard it a certainty that the chip was discovered, taken from you, and given to Caesar, who returned it to you. 2 + 2 = 4, Caesar wants you to destroy whatever you find in this bunker. But that's not going to happen, because you're going to work for me. Surely you know that I am Robert Edwin House, President, CEO, and sole proprietor of the New Vegas Strip. I oversaw the city's renovations starting from 2274 onward. The 3 families are my employees. That's rather obvious, isn't it? The platinum chip is a data storage device. I need you to manually upload the data from the chip to the facility's primary computer. There's a terminal at the other end of this facility. There's a complication. While I can broadcast to this screen, I can't control any of the facility's systems. That means I can't deactivate its security bots, most of which appear to be active according to the status board I'm looking at. I like to think you have enough sense to do the right thing. The rewards for doing so are immense, as are the punishments for not doing so. Your work here is done. Return. You have a very bright future ahead of you. Thanks to your actions today, so does the rest of mankind.
You've carried out Caesar's will, but I must confiscate your equipment. You are free to leave.
I felt the ground shake a while ago. I'll take that as a sign you've got the job done. Let's press on, shall we? As I was telling you before, I want Mr. House out of the picture. You have an interest in his death, too. If he knows that you destroyed his gadgets beneath the fort, he will strike back. You know where to find him. How he dies, I leave up to you. What did you want to know? My Praetorians embody the martial ideals of my legion. Each one of them has done enough conquering and killing to deserve the rank of Centurion. Instead, I invited them to join my guard. So the invitee chooses whichever current guard he thinks is weakest and challenges him. The fight is to the death. It keeps them from getting complacent. Lucius has been the head of my guard for 5 years now. He was a subordinate guard for 8 before that. No invitee has dared to challenge him yet. Maybe it's an issue of respect. He is getting on in years. What else? Vulpes is the best of my frumentari, a remarkable individual from an unremarkable tribe south of the Utah. He was brought into the Legion as a boy, survived training, fought well enough as a legionary to be promoted to the rank of Decanus. Then in battle against an unimportant tribe, he broke ranks and led his contubernarium through a hole in their defenses to capture its chieftain. Well, his Centurion wanted him crucified for disobedience, so I made him a frumentari. Whatever I require, infiltration, assassination, dramatic atrocities to break the spirit of the enemy, etc. They're mentally flexible. They operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, imitating the enemy's customs without becoming sullied. In all these things, Vulpes is a master. What else did you want to know? Linnaeus is the greatest of my battlefield commanders. Some might call him a great man, but I'm not sure he qualifies. Once, he was the greatest warrior of the Hydebarks, a tribe of the Arizona. Maniacal in battle. Sometimes he'd ambush Legion patrols by himself. When after several months we found and surrounded the Hydebarks camp, their chieftain raised a banner of surrender. The warrior, who was not yet Linnaeus, went insane with rage. He struck down his chieftain and attacked his own tribe. He killed 15 before they brought him down. He didn't die, obviously. I had him tended to. He was maimed, most of his face torn off. It was days before he regained consciousness. When he did, I went to his bedside and showed him the helmet I'd had forged to cover his face. I said he could have it if he'd fight for me. He accepted, on condition that he be allowed to kill the surviving males of his tribe. I said, make it the adult males, and you have a deal. Linnaeus is savage. Savagely loyal, too, but only to me. He has no love for my legion. But this has its uses. He has no attachment to his men, no compunction about battlefield losses. All he cares about is destroying the enemy. When another legatus or a centurion fails to achieve results, I send Linnaeus to make things right. His first step is to beat the failed commander to death in front of his assembled troops. Then he orders the ritual of decimatio. It means decimation, but in ancient Rome the word had a very specific meaning, a punishment for cowardice. The legionaries are lined up in ranks. Every 10th man steps forward and is beaten to death by his brothers. It instills a certain robust obedience. Yes, this time my legionaries will be more frightened of the commander behind them than the enemy before them. There will be no failure this time, no retreat, no years of gathering slaves and resources for another assault. With Linnaeus to drive the legion forward, the dam will be taken. It will be our bridgehead across the Colorado. It's not going to happen again, that's all I have to say about it. And I've heard it's a bad idea to tempt the wrath of Caesar. Change the subject. What else, then? Good. Don't know what kind of security he has inside the Lucky 38, but if you can find a way of catching him off guard, do so.
Oh.
Our way.
If you're injured, I might have healing powder to spare. What do you want to know? A small town in New Mexico. The Legion burned it a few years back. That's how I ended up here. 3 years and counting. If I could just get across the river, I'd be free. Not that I'd try it. I've seen what happens when you get caught. We're property. If you're too young or too old, the men usually leave you alone. Usually. All right. I never finished my training. The Legion saw to that when they overran my town. I do know basic first aid, but I've had to rely on tribal remedies to treat illnesses and injuries. Healing powders and all that. I'm always running low on Xander root. Plenty of Brock flowers, though. Oh, I've been using 2 roots for a flower. Thanks to you, I'll be able to create twice as much healing powder per day. For sale? I'm a slave, not a merchant. I could give you some supplies every day, though. You are, after all, a friend of the Legion. What about it? Do you have some advice? Was there some... A vengeful spirit. Some of the more superstitious women claim. He was a great leader of the Legion before he failed Caesar. The story says he was set on fire and thrown into the Grand Canyon, but his angry spirit rose from the ashes of his corpse, looking for revenge. Nonsense, probably, but there's no doubt that many in the Legion believe he's still alive somehow. Okay.
Awe, are you ready to return to Cottonwood Cove? Very well.